Welcome back, y'all. So, I want to say thank you if you're somebody that's coming back to the channel, watching all of these different crazy, scary, and terrifying conspiracies. Now, today we have Alistair Crawley. I am walking you down this definitely banger of a compilation of 8 album of different videos, walking you down information upon this horrible, wretched, evil man. Now, there's a lot of things that he did do that is good, and then there is things that he did do that is bad. Now, if you want to know more of my personal opinion about this man, you have to wait until the end of the video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get in that video.
Wickedest man in the world. But why? Buckle your seatbelts and clench your rosary, cause things are about to get weird. Edward Alexander Crawley was born on October 12th in 1875. He grew up in a very wealthy and very religious household. His father was a preacher. He would sit at dinner reading the Bible every single night, the whole 9 yards. But the more they tried to push Christianity onto their son, the more he wanted to rebel against it. His mother labeled him as the devil and gave him the nickname as the Beast. And at age 8, Crawley was sent to a Christian boarding school. Now, obviously, he didn't do too good there. He was very intelligent, but he was a rebel through and through. He would rip pages out of the Bible, roll shit up, and he was a bad kid. The parents actually had a maid that did stuff around the house, and Alistair messed around with her in his mother's bed. He was a child. When his father died, he inherited almost all of his wealth. So he left school to travel and fully embrace the nickname his mother gave him. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And that is what Alistair Crawley is mostly known for, which pretty much means do whatever the fuck you want. He made a religion out of that. Crawley dedicated his life to the taboo. Everything that was considered wrong, he wanted to fully embrace. Homosexuality was illegal where he was from, so he fully embraced that part of himself. His parents embraced Christianity, while he wanted to embrace dark occultism. Crawley is pretty much the reason why all Christians fear the occult. He was the ultimate dark magician. He believed the more that you can tap in to the evil, dark, animalistic side of yourself.
Temple of Thelema. Doesn't look like much of a temple to me. Alistair Crawley was born in 1875 and was an occultist, poet, and general weirdo who founded a religion called Thelema and considered himself to be the prophet who would lead the human race into the Eon of Horus, whatever that is, in the 20th century. A bit like Scientology. In fact, I think L. Ron Hubbard was inspired by him. He was certainly his friend anyway, and he's said to have inspired Aldous Huxley, David Bowie, the Beatles.
Oh shit.
And people would come to his house and do all sorts of weird sex experiments and stuff like that until Mussolini eventually just had him expelled from Italy. It is actually really dangerous to go in. I'm kind of reluctant, but...
There we go. How did you get... Oh, he's in. Okay. Be careful, Julian.
They're crazy, bro.
Oh, he's a fool.
It's really freaky inside here. It's hard to believe he used to live here with his weird followers until 1923 when the Italians finally had enough of him. Kind of feels like maybe his weird followers still come in here.
Why haven't they knocked it down?
They still use it, bro.
Okay. I'm already far too weirded out in here and it's horrible. It smells. And I feel it's a bit dangerous. Yeah, they've clearly closed it off for a reason in there. Simon, don't knock anything with that big rucksack. I wouldn't go in. If you knock something, you might have the whole thing come down on top of you.
This is a freaky place.
Get out of it, bro.
I mean, they wore robes, performed rituals. He offered a sort of what they called a libertine education for the children of his followers and allowed them to play all day and witness acts of sex magic. He also said, "I slept with faith and found a corpse in my arms on awakening. What a nut.
What is magic exactly? According to the occultist Alistair Crawley, magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with the will. It means that magic is causing reality to change according to your will. Magic can't make the impossible happen. That's a misunderstanding of what magic is. Magic is about directing your energy in the most optimal way to make the changes that you desire in life. But you might be thinking, what about rituals that involve invoking angels and demons and things like that? Well, angels and demons are just representations of unconscious structures that exist within your own mind. In other words, they're parts of you, not actual beings that you're summoning. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist that understood this. He believed that the human psyche was a complex system of conscious and unconscious elements, and he explored a variety of esoteric and spiritual traditions.
Spell casting. Every time you begin to speak or even type words, you're casting a spell. The exact moment you begin to speak or write, and I don't care what you're talking about, you're casting a spell. That's why they call it spelling. You're casting a spell. Instantly, at that exact moment. So when you write, I'm broke and it'll never happen to me, well, congratulations, you made it. You did exactly, your life is gonna unfold exactly how you said it was, because now you've cast a spell on yourself. You just talked to the universe and the universe heard you, and the universe said, oh, they don't want it. I will remove that from ever happening in their life so they won't get upset. The spell casting. And then the people who don't type it, but the self-talk. I'll never be able to do that. All right? You think nobody can hear you. I suck. I'm no good. I'm not, I'll never be able to travel. I'll never be able to do this or that. I'll never be able to buy this or buy that. I'm broke. I can't afford the book. That's all in here. And what's happening? You think nobody can hear you. You think you're being real quiet. The universe hears everything, and the universe is decoding all this data nonstop on the grid, because we're living inside of a grid. We're on a membrane. We're in the membrane of a string universe, and this membrane is energetic, and everyone's connected to it intrinsically. You can't escape it. You're locked. And so now the universe is just downloading that data. You transmit it directly to it, that you thought nobody heard you. You thought you were being quiet. I'm just saying this to myself. No, you spoke to the biggest earlobe ever, and that earlobe, the one that counts, because the other people around you, they don't really count that much.
Nobody's talking about this one tarot secret that completely changes the practice. I understand many people like to use the cards to see what their ex is thinking, but if you're bored of that and ready to learn the higher mysteries, this video might be for you. Alistair Crawley's Thoth Tarot deck is a mathematical formula. It's not complicated on paper, but spiritually and existentially, it will rock your world. The entire deck is an expression about how something comes out of nothing. And this could be in a magical act, like creating what you want to happen in your world, or it could be the ontological question of why there is anything at all. And it goes like this. The sacred name of God, Yod-He-Vav-He, represents 4 phases, how nothing splits into something through opposites, how it recombines and manifests anything.
Founded by the famous occultist Alistair Crawley in the early 1900s, but its central text was the Book of the Law, written by Alistair Crawley himself. 2 of the central concepts are, quote, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and, quote, love is the law, love under will. So essentially they believed in magic, which is the power of systems, the act itself, and what comes of it. And they believed that while performing these ritual acts, you're performing these rituals, spells, people are scrying, they thought that this was the way to access the other side, something spiritual.
When you experience that, there's that small window, right? So in that window of time, however long it lasts, they believe
7 minutes.
That's oppressive, but in my short window of time, it opens that window to, they believe you're able to connect with the universe, whatever the universal power is or love, and it's kind of this connection with the divine. That's why they would do this magic, to invoke those spasms, in which they would then do spells.
The story goes that Alistair Crawley summoned these demons, and this demon Awas will give him the Book of the Law. Now what made me really get this book is that It have a lot of our ancient symbols on here. This will be the left pillar and the right pillar, symbolic for the right eye and the left eye. And this would be the pineal gland, or the black dot. Now if you guys read this book, it will sound like a love poem. And this is everything that the spirit said to Alistair Crawley. Now when Alistair Crawley spoke with this spirit told Alistair Crawley that he will return and sit back on the throne. And this new age or timeline we going into will be ruled by horrors. His specific words was that I will be crowned God of the new eon. This man achieved spiritual ascension. Now he was tapped into the ancestors, bringing back true knowledge. He is also responsible for breaking down the 666, which is 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. This is the building blocks behind all of your creation. You must have no fear. You are gods and goddesses. Peace and Ashe, family. Hope y'all like the lecture.
The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is a secret society who practices ritual magic, alchemy, and mysticism. These occult practices date all the way back to the Egyptian mystery schools. They've drawn influence from Christian mysticism, Enochian magic, the Kabbalah, and most famously, Hermeticism. Kenneth Mackenzie was a Masonic scholar from the Rosicrucian Mystery School, who then founded the Society of the Eight, which went on to become the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The occult and Alistair Crawley go hand in hand. No Chakri is one of the most prominent names in this Hermetic Order. Ritual magic and alchemy are two of their main practices. They utilize their superior knowledge of theurgy and theology to use their consciousness to manipulate, control, and interact with this material world. They understand the effects of different geometries, architectures, vibrations, frequencies, energies, and what power they hold over your mind. Magic, alchemy, and witchcraft make a lot more sense when you tap into consciousness to get to the bottom.
Is it just me, or does Barbara Bush look like the daughter of Alistair Crawley?
The only person running for president who has been a congressman, the ambassador to the United Nations, the chief of the U.S. liaison office to the People's Republic of China, a fourth of the world's population, incidentally, and the head of the whole intelligence system. So there's no question about that. There's nothing wrong with having a president who knows something about something, incidentally. Though I'd never worked in this field. Oh, I did once in Washington a little bit.
Barbara's mother used to frequently hang out with Alistair. It's interesting.
Damn, they do look alike.
Soldier, bro.
Looks like Jimmy Savile.
Bush was in the Skull and Bones Secret Society, bro.
Yeah, good point.
It was all planned, bro.
They've got to be related.
Yeah, bro.
Betty White, too.
Look at her, bro.
There are places around the Earth that are known to have like a higher energy level. One of those places is Loch Ness in Scotland. So Alistair Crawley purchases land near the Loch Ness, and he starts doing one of these rituals that takes like a year long. It starts with fasting, then it goes to praying, and you have to like repeat something. Then you have to do something every day for 40 days, like all these steps, and he follows these steps, but he doesn't finish it. He's doing drugs, he's boning, he's partying, he's traveling around the world.
Okay, has a bite to
It's
eat.
acceptable. And he leaves, breaks the fast, leaves it. What he claims and what his followers claim is he, before he leaves, did bring something up through a portal into our existence, a very powerful demon. And he's like, it's okay, I sealed it. We're all safe. It's chill. Like, I bound it to the spot, so we're good.
He definitely did.
No, people apparently around Loch Ness still are like, whatever he did,
something?
it's still like there. They claim whatever he conjured is the Loch Ness Monster. Like, that's where the appearance of the Loch Ness Monster started happening, is like he brought this demon through.
Oliskin House was Jimmy's home in Scotland on the banks of the Loch Ness. In the 1900s, this house belonged to Alistair Crawley, who was an occultist and magician of the black arts. He purchased the house because essentially he thought it would be a good place to perform magic. When Crawley owned it, his lodgekeeper's two children The guy who bought it after him committed suicide in the bedroom, and Crawley said that his experiments with black magic had gotten out of hand. Jimmy bought the house in 1970. He was a collector of Crawley memorabilia and fascinated by his ideas. He thought it would be a good place for him to go write, but after he had it restored, he didn't end up spending a lot of time there, and instead he entrusted it to the care of his friend Malcolm Dent. Dent was a skeptic of the paranormal, but he said that once he and his family moved in, weird things started happening. One night he heard what sounded like a wild animal outside his bedroom door. Chairs would switch places, doors would slam, rugs would roll up, and just all these weird things would happen. This is a shot of the inside of one of the rooms. Does it remind anybody else of the hallway in The Shining?
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Crawley definitely did that, especially in his poetry. Let's look at some of his work. Poop on me, S-L-T. Creamy the turds that drip from your gut. Greasy the turds. Dribble your dung on the tip of my tongue. All right, wow, okay. C-U-N-T, you have harbored all the dirt and disease in your slimy, unbarbered, loose hole with its cheese. And its monthlies and pox, you chewer of... I'll just leave this one here too. This is what Crawley was best at, trying to find something as beautiful as poetry and turn it into something disgusting. That was his main goal with a lot of things. And you may be thinking, oh, it's just writing. Just because he wrote that doesn't mean that like he actually did stuff like that. He did. He did. He loved it. He loved it. Who am I to kink shame? He was also a international super spy. He was a spy. Yep, I believe it was for Britain. Or it could have been for something else. But he was a legit spy for the government. How he became a spy is because he literally reached out to the government and said, hey, look, I'm able to infiltrate these very closed groups, so let me work for you. Let me do it, as a job, because I can. He is the reason that people practice certain things today, like sex magic. Crawley. Why magic is spelt with a K? Crawley. So a lot of people hate him, but then will go and spell magic with a K. He invented that. There are two kind of people that actually like Alistair Crawley. Either A, they like him because they are just as sick and deranged as he was, or B, they like him because they are able to separate the sick man that he was, and separate that from the actual work that he did. What he really did was teach about duality. He was the ultimate dark expression of what a human being can be. So, a lot of people will now meet in the middle.
What were Crawley's last words? There are a lot of different myths about this, so let's check them out. Most prevalent is that his last words were, I am perplexed, which was given in one of the early biographies of the man. However, this is apocryphal. It's actually not what happened. Less likely are intimations that he somehow repented or recanted at the end of his life, which you'll hear once in a while from people who just kind of really wish he had, for whatever reasons they may have. But those reasons are theirs, but not Crawley's. Crawley remained Crawley until the end. What we do have is the account of the person who was actually there when Crawley passed. The mother of Crawley's last child, Alistair Ataturk, Deirdre McAlpine. She noted that Crawley passed peaceably and without comment, and that there was a peal of thunder to greet him. So, take that for what you will. Love is the law, love under will.
Moonchild is a novel written by British occultist Alistair Crawley in 1917 and published in 1929. It's about a magical war between a group of white magicians and a group of black magicians over an unborn child. In this book, a lot of fictional characters were based on acquaintances of Crawley in real life, leading some to believe this was much more than just a novel. A personal journal, shrouded as a story perhaps? Cyril Gray, the character modeled after Crawley himself, is trying to save and improve the human race and condition by impregnating a woman with the soul of an ethereal being, the Moonchild. Crawley goes into detail on how to demonize a fetus by soul fishing in the fourth dimension. He also wrote, invoking into that place some one force which they desired, some tremendously powerful being, angel or archangel, and they had conjurations which they thought capable of doing this, and they would be able to cause the incarnation of beings of infinite knowledge and power who would be able to bring the whole world into light and truth. This book is allegedly the one that inspired Parsons to conduct his Babylon working ritual in 1946, where he was supposed to manifest an incarnation of Babylon who would then carry a magical child, or NASA's dark secret, rocket scientist by day, occultist by night, Jack Parsons. John Whiteside Parsons was a pioneer in rocketry, chemist, and occultist. Parsons was a key figure in the development of solid rocket fuel, co-founding JPL and the Aerojet Engineering Corporation. But Parsons was living a double life. It was said he recited Crowley's poem, Hymn to Pan, during rocket tests. Having converted to Thelema, the new religious movement founded by Alistair Crawley, Parsons joined the Agape Lodge in 1941. This branch in California of the Ordo Templi Orientis would be the home and center of where Parsons' dive into the occult would reach its climax, figuratively and literally.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Parsons would eventually meet L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, and they would both go on to conduct the Babylon working ritual in 1945 through 1946. The Babylon working was a series of magic ceremonies designed to manifest Babylon, or the Scarlet Woman, a goddess in the Thelemic occult system. Some believe Parsons opened up a portal because of his ceremonies, letting in entities because it was never closed. Others believed he helped usher in the hippie movement. Peace and love.
Of this elaborate satanic ritual setup that they had down there, where they had things written on the wall in Latin, and they had a girl's bloody dress, and they had a chair that was covered in something red, and they're trying to figure out what the f- going on, and he wound up getting out of there. But then he found out that the history of that lab itself, that the guy who founded that lab was an open Satanist.
The man he's talking about is Jack Parsons, the sex cult rocket man. He was one of the founders of the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory and Aerojet Engineering, which played an important role in American space exploration, and this man tried to conjure up Babylon, which is the Thelemic goddess of female sexuality. Guys, this story gets pretty dark. You see, Parsons became fascinated with the teachings of Alistair Crawley since he preached magic, sex, and spirituality in his religious secret society called Ordo Templi Orientis. It was a religious secret society led by Crawley, which offered similar things that rocketry does. Jack Parsons became enamored with the beliefs and the hidden dimensions and the sexual freedom that it offered. Time went on, and Parsons and his wife Helen became members of the secret society. Helen goes on a trip, and Parsons starts an affair with her half-sister Betty. Helen gets pissed, so she goes and has an affair with Wilfred Smith, who is the head of the Agape Lodge, which was the California chapter of this secret society. She later then divorces Parsons and marries this guy. Time goes on, and Crawley wanted this man Wilfred Smith to step down from the Agape Lodge. Crawley considered this man a god and ordered him to tattoo 666 on his forehead. But once he stepped down, Jack Parsons was instilled as the Agape's new leader. At this point, Parsons was at his peak. He was the leader of the cult in California, and he convinced the government that rocketry could be useful in wartime and formed a successful business called Aerojet, in which the U.S. Army ordered 2,000 Scientology. Ron Hubbard now joins the cult ran by Alistair Crawley and Jack Parsons. Hubbard had extraordinary charisma, wit, and had endless tales to tell. Parsons ends up becoming very good friends with Hubbard and speaks very highly of him. That all changed when Hubbard seduced his girlfriend Betty and Hubbard ran away. Parsons became infuriated, not only because he stole his girl, but because he showed Hubbard how to climb up the mystical ladder of Crowley's secret society, which many believe he got the principles of Scientology from. Parsons then started to focus on outer forms of magic, blending voodoo and witchcraft together. Members from the cult believed he was trying to use spells to summon a demon to kill Hubbard, but in reality he was trying to summon Babylon, the Thelemic goddess of female sexuality. Rituals often involve pentagrams, obscure scripture, and other things I can't say. His future wife Marjorie Cameron arrives at the cult in 1946. Meets Parsons. They later then were enclosed in rooms performing magic rituals for hours and became married in less than a year. The FBI started taking notes of these practices. He was investigated. He was not found guilty, but his science career was over. In 1952, there was a massive explosion at his house that took his life. People call it an accident, an assassination or a conjuring
46
ritual.
magic ritual called the Babylon Working by Scientology founder Ron L. Hubbard and NASA rocket man Jack Parsons. See how the two lies collided? NASA, Scientology. Side note about Jack Parsons, NASA rocket man, before every rocket test launch, he would evoke the god Pan. This is because shooting a rocket up to the moon is really a sex magic ritual. The rocket is the male energy, the phallus shooting up to the female energy, the moon. Just like in Washington, D.C., Washington Monument, 555 feet tall, or 6,660 inches, setting every day into the Capitol Dome, the female womb. Sex magic ritual. Back to the Babylon Working. The ritual was designed to evoke the whore of Babylon. Revelation 17 talks about the whore of Babylon. Babylon the Great, the mother of and the earth's abomination. Jack and Ron had a falling out after the Babylon Working. They had co-founded a business called Allied Enterprises in which Parsons had invested over $20,000. Soon after, though, Hubbard vanished with Parsons' girlfriend Sarah, who he eventually married. The funniest part of the story, when Hubbard and Sarah kind of vanished, they went out on a boat outside of Florida into the waters. Parsons was furious. He went into his hotel room and summoned a typhoon. Legend or not, Hubbard and the ship were washed ashore soon after by a freak storm that same day. The kicker of the whole story, Hubbard used much of his money from the Allied Enterprise business and Parsons' investment to form Dianetics, which later evolved to Scientology.
Welcome back. Did you have fun? Did you love it? Is it everything you thought of who that person is or who that person was? What intrigues you? Now, here is the question that you probably waited for so long to know. Do I follow or believe in this man? Now, I have read off and on some of his books here and there. I've never been able to fully sit down and get a lot of the things in his books because to me, it just doesn't go with me, man. I take certain stuff from some of the things that he has done in the past when it comes to certain things, but after the fact of certain things, nah, man. I'm not some fanatic for this guy, but I do believe that the different things that he did throughout time and throughout history definitely, went above and beyond, stepping into time and putting your foot into it. And that's definitely what he did, y'all, is he put his foot into time and made sure everybody will know about him even after he's passed. And that's exactly what the fuck he did. So with that one, I'm just gonna, bounce up out of this motherfucker. So I will see you next time. Again, stay the positive, never to the negative. Always remember that. Go out on the day, baby. You play, you only get one life to live. You better live it for today. And that's straight facts. Other than that, you have a great one, you beautiful person, whoever you are, wherever you are. Peace.